It was one of the coldest mornings of December in New York City. Snowflakes danced through the air like fragile feathers, settling on benches, rooftops, and tired shoulders. On one such frozen bench near Central Park, a young girl sat quietly, hugging a faded pink backpack like it contained her whole world. Her name was Emma, and she was only 11 years old, far too young to be sitting alone in the biting cold. Her shoes had holes in them. Her jacket, though zipped tightly, was far too thin. She pulled her sleeves down over her numb fingers and glanced once more at the subway station across the street. She was waiting not for a bus, not for a friend, but for her mother, who had disappeared again the night before. Emma knew this routine. Sometimes her mom came back. Sometimes she didn't. Despite everything, Emma had stopped crying long ago. Crying never changed anything. It didn't bring food. It didn't bring warmth, and it certainly didn't bring her mom back. She reached into her backpack and pulled out the peanut butter sand, which she had saved from the school cafeteria yesterday. She took a small bite and quickly wrapped it again, wanting to make it last. A man in a dark coat approached and slowly sat down at the other end of the bench. He looked about 60, with gray streaks in his beard and kindness in his tired eyes. He didn't say anything at first, just sat, his hands resting on his knees. Emma tensed a little. Strangers were unpredictable, but then the man slowly took off his gloves, old, patched up, but thick, and held them out to her. "They're warmer than they look," he said with a gentle smile. Emma blinked in surprise. "No one's offered me anything before," she said quietly. "Well," he said, "then I'm honored to be the first." Cautiously, Emma took the gloves and slipped them on. They were warm, much warmer than her sleeves. The man didn't ask questions. He didn't push. He just sat beside her, offering the most powerful gift of all quiet company. After a while, the man stood and looked at her. "Come on," he said, "let's get something hot in you." Emma hesitated. Her mother had warned her about going anywhere with strangers, but there was something different about this man. She looked into his eyes, sad, but safe, and nodded. They walked to a small, run-down diner just a few blocks away. It wasn't much peeling paint, scratched tables, a flickering neon sign that read Rosie's. But inside it was warm. The smell of pancakes and coffee filled the air. They slid into a booth in the corner. "I'm Frank," the man said, "used to be a school teacher." Emma gave a small nod. "I'm Emma." Frank smiled. "Pretty name. You look like someone who's seen a lot more than most 11. You're olds." Emma shrugged. She didn't know how to respond to that. "I lost my wife a few years ago." Frank continued, stirring his coffee. "That's when everything changed. I stopped teaching, stopped talking, just existed." Emma listened. Something about his honesty felt comforting. "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers," she said. "That's smart. But we're not strangers now, are we?" She gave a shy smile. The waitress came and took their order. Frank asked for pancakes and hot chocolate for Emma, then just a coffee for himself. When the food came, Emma's eyes lit up. She hadn't had a hot meal in days. Frank pushed the plate toward her. "Eat. You need it more than I do." She devoured the pancakes while Frank sipped his coffee quietly, watching the snow fall outside the window. Before they left, Frank pulled a napkin from the dispenser and scribbled something on it. "This is a place you can go if things ever get too hard," he said. "They help kids. Good people." Emma looked at the address. A community center on the other side of town. She folded the napkin and tucked it deep into her backpack. She didn't realize then how that small piece of paper would one day change her life. 10 years later, Emma stood in front of a small crowd at a youth center in Brooklyn, holding a microphone with steady hands. Her voice was clear, confident, filled with a warmth that drew people in. "Sometimes the smallest act of kindness is all someone needs to change their story," she said. "I know because it happened to me." The room filled with applause. Emma had become a mentor, a youth counselor, and a college graduate. The same girl who once sat shivering on a bench now stood as a symbol of hope for dozens of kids. Later that afternoon, she wandered into the back office to help with paperwork. She opened an old filing cabinet to search for forms and instead found a dusty leather notebook. It was worn and fragile, the edges curled with age. On the first page, in faded ink, it read, "Property of Frank Wallace." Her breath caught. Frank, with trembling hands, she flipped through the pages. It was filled with handwritten notes, lesson plans, poems, and short letters. One page had a half-written letter. "If anyone finds this, please know I tried, I gave what I could. I hope one day one of those kids finds their way." Tears streamed down her cheeks. Frank had worked here. The same place his napkin had led her. Emma ran to the center's director, an older woman named Lorraine. "Did Frank Wallace work here?" she asked. Lorraine nodded with a sad smile. "He volunteered for years, quietly, helped kids with homework, fixed broken chairs, gave rides, never wanted recognition." Emma's heart swelled with emotion. "He passed away just after you first started coming here, I think. I think he was waiting to make sure someone would carry the torch." Emma clutched the notebook to her chest, and in that moment, she realized she had become the person Frank had once been. That winter, as snow blanketed the city again, Emma took a walk through Central Park. She paused near the same bench where she once sat years ago, the memory vivid in her mind. That's when she saw him. A boy maybe 10 years old, hunched on the bench with a worn-out hoodie, no gloves, and eyes that mirrored the same fear and exhaustion she once carried. Without a word, Emma sat beside him. "You look cold," she said softly, removing her own gloves. "Here they're warmer than they look." The boy stared at her, unsure. Then slowly he reached out and took them. Emma smiled. "I used to sit on this same bench," she said. "A kind man once gave me gloves just like these." The boy stayed quiet. "I know it's hard, but you're not alone, okay?" She took him to Rosie's diner. The waitress recognized Emma immediately, still paying it forward. She asked with a warm smile. Emma nodded. She ordered pancakes and hot chocolate for the boy. "I don't have a name," the boy whispered. "Everyone has a name," Emma replied gently, "even if no one's used it in a while." "I'm Jason." "Well, Jason," she said, sliding a business card across the table, "if you ever need help, real help, come here. Tell them Emma sent you." And for the first time, Jason smiled. 3 years later, a letter arrived at the youth center, addressed to Miss Emma. It was carefully written in neat, determined handwriting. "Dear Miss Emma, thank you for the gloves and the pancakes. I came to the center like you told me. I'm graduating next month. I want to be a teacher like Mr. Frank. I want to help kids the way you helped me. Thank you for not ignoring me." Emma wiped a tear from her cheek. On the back of the letter was a small sketch, a park bench, 2 people sitting side by side, one handing the other a pair of gloves. Emma smiled. Frank had helped her when no one else had. She had done the same for Jason, and now Jason would carry that light forward. A ripple of kindness, started by one forgotten man, now reaching lives he never lived to see. The story of Emma and Frank reminds us that true kindness doesn't come from wealth, but from compassion, from small, selfless acts that may seem ordinary but leave extraordinary impacts. A pair of gloves, a warm plate of pancakes, and a quiet moment of human connection became the bridge between a lost child and a future filled with purpose. Frank, a man forgotten by society, gave Emma something priceless, hope. And Emma, in turn, became a beacon of that same hope for others. The beauty of this story lies in its simplicity, how one gesture, one human being choosing to care, created a ripple that continued through time. Through loss, struggle, and years of uncertainty, Emma rose not just for herself, but for others like Jason, and many more to come. The story concludes with a powerful message: kindness never dies. It travels, grows, and returns often in the most unexpected ways. No matter how broken the world may seem, there will always be people who choose to sit beside the lonely, feed the hungry, and believe in the forgotten. Sometimes all it takes is one person like Frank to change a life forever.